These practices cover using the adaptive cursor. Moving to the activity guide. Practices for lesson 7. Okay, interpreting the execution plans and enhancements. So we'll start working our way through the practice. So practice for lesson 7 overview. These practice covers dynamic plans, part of the adaptive execution plans features in the Oracle 12c database. So practice 7.1, using dynamic plans. Overview. In this practice, use dynamic plans, part of the adaptive execution plan feature. List of tasks. Task 1, set the OR environment and start an SQL Plus session with sys. So I've already created a terminal session. I'm going to zoom in a bit. I like to do that to make sure things are reasonably readable. And we want to set the Aura env environment to systune. We're going to enter SQL Plus / sysdba to get connected with sys account with full privileges. Okay, and then what we want to do is task 2 is select any dictionary privilege to order entry account. So we'll cut and paste that into our SQL Plus session to get the privileges set up for doing this particular plan. And I managed to move ahead in this. Sometimes me and the system gets upset. So moving down in here. Okay, so task number 3 from the SQL Plus session, connect as the order entry user and show the execution plan for the following query with executing it. So what it basically means, we want to go in and do an explain plan. So step A, connect as the OE user with the password. So in our SQL Plus, we were already connected with sysdba. We can connect order entry / order entry. If you're concerned about revealing the password, just don't put the password on the line and it will prompt you and you can enter it. Then people on a Linux system can't snoop and see what it is if the system min hasn't taken proactive. And this is our statement we want to have a look at the execution plan for. So we're going to do the explain plan for that statement. As we explained in the lesson for this, when you do that before you actually execute the statement, it will actually go in and show the original execution plan that the optimizer picked as part of the optimization. And if it's a candidate for dynamic planning, then when we run it, we can go in and tell to see if it's actually being changed. So moving down to the next page. Okay. We want to go and display that execution plan. So we're going to do 2 things. Set the line to a reasonable width. And this is another case where it may be actually a little more convenient to make the browser wider and actually shrink down the way I'm viewing it a little bit, just so we get a reasonable number displayed. And then we're going to call the display, and that will take it out of the plan table. We don't put any qualifiers in, it picks what's in the plan table now. Put that in the paste buffer. Make sure we execute this, and then paste in our select from the table function where we're calling dbms_xplan display. And it shows that in this case, it decided to do a nested loops because we were expecting to get a low number of rows back for this. And that's what we wanted to show out, so we noted the nested loop up here, which is the same that I found up here in my execution plan. So it was using a simple nested loop. Okay, now we want to execute this query, and this version unfortunately split across the page, so it's a little more convenient. It was fortunate that they gave it up here by itself, so we can actually go in and grab this copy of it. It's just a little bit. Put it in the paste buffer. It's just a little more convenient to grab. Get it to execute, okay, and then have a look at it after it's executed. Okay, so they did put another version. I could have grabbed that one, but as long as they get the same ones in there, I should be able to execute this one. Okay, to go and get it. So they show you the output that hopefully is the same that they had, except they cut out some of the lines, so I was a few lines. Now we want to go and get the execution plan out of memory. Okay, we can call display cursor. If we don't put it in, there's a little feature. It will run the last statement in my session that I thought was very nice of them to put in. So we'll execute this. And we go and have a look at the execution plan. Originally, it did it a nested loop. When we executed it, what's in memory is what it actually ended up with as what it ended up doing for me. So it had done a one-time switch from a nested loop to a hash join as part of demoing this. So they just show you the output, their output, okay, which was similar to mine. They're wrapped actually a little more than I did, but you can see the hash join. Mine actually turned out in this case. Some of theirs times they're a little easier to read. Sometimes it's mine. So what did we observe? The actual plan used, we finalized it on hash join. Why did the plan change? The optimizer decided that the number of rows we were returning were actually larger than it was estimated initially, so it should do a one-time change. So task B, how could we confirm whether the plan change was caused by dynamic plans? Okay, well, we can do that by looking at $SQL and having a look at is resolved adaptive plan. Okay, and it will tell us whether or not it actually resolved it with an active path, whether it really converted it. So we'll do the same formatting. They did it as an example, so I'll just cut and paste the formatting so it looks half decent. We're doing the SQL text A30, so it's a little easier. It wraps a few times. And then when we query it, we want the plan. Okay, and I'll grab the whole thing. Actually, I tend to cut and paste them one at a time if it's not in one of their special boxes, because sometimes I have trouble with it. Of course, if you're a good typist, you could always type this in, and that would work out well for you. I tend to make it a little quicker by cut and pasting. And we get the SQL ID, we get the SQL text, we wrapped it so it fit on the line. And the last one is the resolved adaptive plan. If yes, it's fine, came up with a final plan and it actually resolved it. It's an adaptive plan. If no, it's still at the point it may have not executed it yet. It still hasn't resolved it. And that was the end of practice 7.